Hello everyone, it's Amy, and I'm here for week 26 of Build Your Stash and Craft. We've made it halfway through the year, and I'm really hoping to make it through the whole year. I'm really excited that I made it halfway through. And so this week we are going to make a journal with our pages, and we can use that journal to keep track of the things that we're doing and the things that we've done, or we can use it for whatever we'd like to. But so this week we had to pick up some hair ties, not hair ties, some headbands. And so I've got those here. We also needed a box, a cereal box, or I found this macaroni box and it had a little window in it. So I thought that was pretty cool. And I used this instead of a cereal box. Now the one thing that you need to make sure that you do is get some of your sandpaper and make sure that you sand the whole thing. Now I've done the whole thing so that you didn't have to sit here with the table shaking. I did want to show you when I use my sandpaper. I do use a toilet paper roll, and I wanted to show you I just put my sandpaper right at the edge just in case you find something with a window in it and you want to use that one. You don't want to scratch your window, so put your sandpaper right at the edge and then just run that edge right up along right next to where and you want to turn it and make sure that you keep it right along the edge just like that. That newspaper's kind of in the way, but just right along the edge, because you do want to make sure you get it sanded well there on the edge so that your paper will stick when you glue it down. And then after you're done sanding, always make sure that you just take a damp paper towel or a damp rag and wipe all of that sanding dust off, because you do not want that. It'll make it so your papers don't stick as well, so you don't want that on your paper. And then what I did next, after I found my box that I was going to use, I just took one of my pieces of paper and I just held it up and made it a little bit smaller all the way around so that it would stay inside. And I only put 3 pieces of paper in each signature, and I did 4 signatures. Depending on how many papers you use, the more papers you use, the more they move out, so that you wind up with, like they wind up sticking out like this by the time you put a lot in. So if you use lesser amounts, they stay closer together. And I just went ahead and I used the first one that I cut out as a template. I did have some smaller sheets of paper that I had ripped in half when I was doing my the shaving foam dyeing, and I put some of those in there. And even though they're not as big, because they don't all have to be the same size, and when I did them, some of them are double-sided, some of them are not double-sided. So I did make sure that like my outside one had color on it, and that my very inside one, if it was not double-sided, I put my color to the inside. Just something that I did, not something you have to do, because you're going to cover them anyways. So after I cut all of these out, keep all of your scraps as you cut them out. And I have 4 signatures here, but keep all those scraps that you cut off the edges and everything so that you can use those to decorate your box. And so we're going to just cover the box just in a collage manner with our water glue. And I already did do the inside so that I would only have one side to do. And this is what the inside looks like, just so far with the papers on it. And I will probably go around the edges of those with my marker. But the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to go around my window so that I know that it'll just be easier for me to not get the glue on the window once I've got that covered, because I tend to get a little bit sloppy with my glue and just slap it all over the place. And so I just want to make sure that I don't get a bunch of glue on my window. The water glue is 1 part water to 2 parts of our, just like Elmer's school glue or Elmer's glue. The one that I have is just the white, it's PVA glue from the Dollar Tree, and which is just the same. Elmer's is PVA glue. And if you get a little on there, just kind of wipe it off, but you should be able to probably wash it off afterwards. And I've just got some different papers here that I've already ripped out. I'm going to rip this one down just a little bit so it's a little straighter. And I think I'm going to put that one on this side, just being very careful. I won't do the whole thing right here in front of you. I'll just do some of it so you don't have to sit here and watch me do it, but I thought I'd do some with you here so you can see how I'm doing it. Now I do find that cardstock does not, it will glue down like this, but it doesn't seem to glue down as fast and as easy. So I used a lot of my thinner papers instead of the ones that I did on cardstock. And I'll save those for other projects where I really need the stronger paper, like embellishments and that type of thing. Because your thinner papers don't work as well for certain embellishments. They work great for like flowers because you can kind of smoosh them all up and give them texture. But they don't stay real solid. Got one here, and I just take it when I get to the edges. I don't worry about it hanging over the edges. Just go ahead and slap it on there, and when it hangs over the edge, can't see what I'm doing. It's hanging over the edge of my box right here. We just cut that off after it dries. But we just want to get it covered, and I did pull out my feathers here because I do want to put one of these feathers, and I'm just going to rip it because I like the looks of ripped better than cut. But I do want to get kind of close to my feather. I don't want a whole bunch of this tan paper around it. So just tear this out, and after I get some color on there, then I want to put this feather on there because I really loved the way that this turned out, and I thought it would be a really perfect thing to put on the front of my Build Your Stash journal. Let's kind of get a little closer right here. And I don't think it's going to really need anything under it, so I'm going to kind of decide where to put it so that I know where I need to put the rest of my papers before I put this down. I do want to make sure I put it on the top of everything because I don't want to cover it up. You can, you can put pictures on there and cover up parts of them, and that looks nice, but I just thought this would be nice for a front cover. It's kind of nice to have something that really stands out on your front cover instead of just the plain collage, which also looks nice. And there we go. So that's my feather, and I'm going to put that like right about there. So I just kind of need to do, well, I need to do that first. See, I always get ahead of myself. And I don't pay attention, and then I make a mess. But you can always fix it. Okay, just find a piece here. That looks pretty good. You just have to love gluing, though. This is, I find that collaging, just gluing stuff down with your water glue or your Mod Podge or whatever it is that you want to use, I find it very relaxing. So, and I think I've heard a lot of people say that there's just something about it that just makes it feel so great. Now this piece here has texture paste on it, and I have a piece inside that has texture paste on it, and that works just fine. And the glue actually helps. When you put the glue on top of your texture paste, it seals it and makes it less likely to crack, because it is a plaster, and plaster can crack. So that's a good thing to always seal that. But just kind of wanting to get the feather on there before I let you go and finish the rest. I really appreciate all of the comments on my series. I've had such nice reviews. I think that's what's made it easy for me to just keep it up every week, is hearing the people say how much they enjoy it. and I've really enjoyed doing it. So I just think that it's really kind of brought me back to my roots a lot with things that, you know, I did when I was younger, and just like not feeling like I don't go out and buy as much as I used to since I started doing this series. It has really reminded me that I don't need to have everything, and I don't need to spend a lot of money to get enjoyment in my crafting. And so it's helped me a lot personally. And your comments have really helped me a lot too. They've been so nice. The one thing I have to say is we have a great community here in the crafting community. And I've made so many really nice friends and met so many nice people. Now this is lifting up a little bit because the background, I just taped it around with my double-sided tape. I just taped that on the back, so it's not actually taped to the plastic, and it is lifting a little bit. When I'm done, I will put this in a book to let it sit in. Oh, that piece isn't big enough. Well, I want it there anyways, though, so. And I'll put it in a book, and I think that that will squish it well enough. One more little piece at the top there, and we can put our feather on. And do kind of go over your corners a little bit so that when you fold it, you don't want to go right to the edge of your fold. You want to go ahead and go right onto that spine and go all the way across. And I think the feather's going to cover up the little bit that I didn't do there. Oh, I want to move it down just a little bit or it's going to go off the top. There we go. That looks good. Now be careful by my window. Don't get too slap happy with the glue. There, I really like how that looks. Okay, I won't keep you while I'm doing this because it's going to be a long enough video anyways, but I will finish doing this and I will come back and we'll go a little further. Okay, I'm back, and I dried this part way with my blow dryer. There was one thing I forgot to tell you, and I wasn't doing. Make sure that you put a piece of parchment paper underneath when you're doing it so that it doesn't stick. I had it on here, and luckily I noticed it right away as soon as I turned the video off that I had it on here, so I was able to pull it off and put my parchment down. Otherwise it would have been glued to that paper, and that would have stuck to the back, and it would have been a pain. So I partway dried it with my blow dryer, and now I'm going to put it between two pieces of parchment and put a couple of heavy books on top to weight it down and straighten it out a little bit. It's really not too bad. It's got a little bit of wrinkling in it. Not much at all, though. It looks pretty good. So I'm going to put it under a book. It's still barely damp. And I think that if you put it underneath the books when it's still a little bit damp, it flattens out better, I think, because then as it dries, it just kind of, that dampness just helps it mold to the way it was instead of it being really solidly dry. But so I'm going to put this under a book, and I'll be right back with a couple more things we're going to do for this. Okay, so I'm back, and now I just wanted to make a couple of like journaling line stamps for ourselves, because a lot of people, when they have a journal, they'll stamp lines in their journal so they can write. You may not want to write, but just in case you do, I thought that we would make some line stamps, and we'll see how they work. Not really sure how they're going to work. So this one here, I've already done most of it, and all I did was, it's a piece of corrugated cardboard, and I just looked where the lines were on the corrugated cardboard, and I just put my glue along that line, like, the lines that stick up from the corrugation, and you can kind of see them on there. All I did was I just took my glue, and just a very fine line. You don't want to put too much because you don't really want it squishing out a whole lot. And if it misses a little bit, that's not a big deal. I just slide my string back and forth, so I've got 2 here that I did not finish. And as I did this, I did every other line in the corrugation and put my string on, and then I went back and did the ones in between, like you're seeing right here where it's already between 2. It just seemed to be easier. They weren't so close together, and I thought they wouldn't mess each other up. And then I just take a bit of string, a little bit longer than the cardboard, so that you've got something to hold on to and press down with. And then I just put my string right on that line, and I just kind of moved it back and forth a little bit and pressed it down. And it's nice when you pull tight, it makes it straight. So, and just do that with the other one too, and then that one will be done and it will need to dry. Nice thing about video, you can stop it and let things dry without you guys, as you're watching, having to wait. Okay, so I've got those 2 on there now. I'm just going to kind of give them a little bit of a tap. If when I'm tapping them down, or if I have too much glue and I kind of want to wipe it off a little bit, if I get them so that they're not straight, all I have to do is grab the ends and just kind of pull tight, and that will straighten them back out again. So I'm going to move this one down a little bit because it's a little close to the one above it. Okay, so now that's got to dry, and after it's all dry so that I'm not moving them, then I will trim off the edges. The other thing that I did was, same box, I just took this box and cut out a couple of pieces. It's a pop box, and this one I peeled off one side of the cardboard so that I got this corrugation that I thought we could use for lines. Now, if we did took everything off, we could really get the lines. I wanted to leave this little bit on here and see what it looks like when we stamp it. If I don't like it, I can try and take it off. I'm not sure how well it will come off once I've got the paint on there. But if I don't like it, I can take it off or just make another one. But I thought that would make it kind of look distressed. And, you know, a lot of people, they go out there and they spend a bit of money on things that look distressed. And we can do that all by ourselves. I'm going to just put this on my paper here, and I'm going to use one of my brayers, and so I'm just going to kind of go make a line. Now you can also do this on your jelly plate. Your jelly plate makes a great stamp pad to roll your brayer in to get paint for different things. But I just didn't really feel like it would, I didn't feel I had enough room really right here. So now I'm just going to put this paint on here. And actually, I'm not positive if I'm using enough paint. It might dry too quickly before we can. And then I just have a piece of paper here, and I'm just going to rub it down. And there we go. There we have lines. Now I love this. I love this look of lines. First off, because I really don't write in my journals, but if I want to write something, I have some lines to write it on, and it makes really nice backing. So I'm going to leave that one just the way it is because I like the way that it looks. And again, just peel off the front of your cardboard, and you can make it any size that you want to. The bigger you get, I think that the more your paint would tend to dry on it before you stamp it on your page. So that would be one thing to think about, making it too large. But I think that worked out really well. I really like the looks of that. So I'm going to stop right here for just a second, let the other one dry, and I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back. This is all dry. I've trimmed my edges. I have kind of a fold here at the top that I couldn't put any more string up that way, but I don't want to get any paint on that and have it get on my page. So I'm going to cut this part off here at the top. And then what I'm going to do here, I have extra here, and I'm going to just fold that back a little bit. Just give it a nice fold. And what I'm going to do with that is after I stamp, it might make it easier for me to pull that like straight off. I can pull it this way or I can pull it sideways, and without like moving it and possibly smudging my page. So we're going to try this one now and see how it works. Now I've got that's there and kind of dry. That'll make it at least so that the paint doesn't soak in as bad, I think. Okay, so let's give this a try. Okay, and then I'm going to go sideways so that my brayer is being held off the actual cardboard by the twine itself. And then depending on how perfect you want it, there are some of these strings do not have much paint on them. Also, so if I were to do it without the paint on all the strings, and I'm going to put a little bit more paint on here, wherever there wasn't paint, obviously it wouldn't get on your page. So, you know, you can get a nice distressed look that way. But also, I think once you have used this a few times and your string gets covered with the paint that you're just going to let dry on there, that paint is plastic. It's an acrylic paint, so it's a plastic. And what's going to happen is that's going to make it, I think, so that the paint will stick a little bit better. Okay, let's put this on here and give it a press. I'm going to turn it over actually and press it that way because my box is bending. I put this on a box to make sure that I'm closer to my camera. And I think it's getting a little bit worn out after 26 weeks. Give that good time to get contact. Make sure that you smooth it all over. And there we go. That is really nice too. And that's much less distressed than this one. And like I said, I think once that these get covered with plastic, with the paint, and the paint dries, I think you'll get an even better cover with your paint. So there's one other thing I wanted to show you. You know, like sometimes people have, well, they have like stamps that not only just make your journaling lines, but they'll make journaling lines in the shape of a circle or a heart or something like that. And you want something like that. Okay, well, let's try this. I haven't tried it, so we'll have to see if it's going to work. I thought about doing it with cardstock, but cardstock's a little bit thicker and actually may not work as well. You could use a stencil. You could cut yourself a stencil like this. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this heart and I'm going to put some more paint in the center of our lines. I guess we'll try going the other way too and see. That still stays on top of the string. I was afraid it would go between. Just kind of get where I think my heart's going to be. And I'm just going to take this. I guess we'll have to go this way. And then let's see how that looks. Oh, we don't want to go that way. The lines would be going the wrong way. We have to go this way. Made my heart a little too big. And then make sure that you come into contact with those strings. So that's the thing with cardstock, is the cardstock's going to hold the paper up a little bit, so you'll, especially at the edges, you'll want to make sure that you get your paper down there in contact with those strings. And this may not be the best example because of the amount of paint that I got on there. I might not have got enough on. So let's see. There we go. Now you have a journaling spot that's shaped like a heart. And then you can, if you want to, you can draw around this heart. Or if you think, well, because I'm not really good at drawing straight lines and that type of thing, you can let this dry first and take it and set it on there and then draw inside the heart and use that as a guide for you. Let's try that. Let's just put that on there like that. I've got a marker right here. my marker is starting to get a little bit worn out. So there, see, you can have it with the outline or without the outline. And that looks really cute. Okay, I'll be back in just a minute with a little bit more. Okay, I'm back, and I have let this sit underneath a heavy encyclopedia for probably about an hour, and it looks nice and flat. Now I'm just going to trim off my excess paper. I like to trim my excess paper after it's dry. I know people do it both ways, but I think that it seems to stick better if you wait until after it's dry, because you're not kind of, your scissors aren't kind of lifting it away from the paper. But if you do it when it's still wet or damp, you can always just make sure you go back in and just really press those edges down after you've cut it. And that should help. But we'll just get this all trimmed off and we'll see how it looks. And then I've got another thing that I forgot to show you, because when I cut my box, I didn't realize that it was as short as it was. So it was a little bit too short to make my hair headbands tight. So, okay, so there's our book. That looks good. And then if you take a headband and you put it on there, it's just a little bit loose. I'll put it towards the light. It's a little bit loose. Now you could put them on there and then gather them all in the middle. That would tighten them up a little bit. You could put a little stitch in them, you know, stitch it together till it was tight, and just put that part up inside. But what I did was I just took 2 pieces of corrugated cardboard, the same cardboard that I used to make this, and I just took 2 thicknesses and glued them together, and then I covered it with some paper. And I'm going to put this on the inside of my spine. No, actually I decided that I wanted to put it on the outside of my spine. I forgot. And what I was going to originally do, see, and that makes our band tight enough, you know. You don't want it to be really tight where it's going to scrunch everything up, but you want it to be snug. Originally what I was going to do was just put those 2 pieces on here and, you know, cover the whole thing all at once. And then it would be covered just like this, but I forgot about that part. So so I'm going to put it on the outside like this, and what I think that I may do, it's covered and it looks good the way that it is, but because of this edge I might put some tape there or something. But what I might do is take a piece of paper and just wrap it, glue it here, and kind of wrap it up and over and glue it here, so it kind of looks a little bit like a rounded book spine. So I'll decide that later, but I do need to get this just glued on here. And I just kind of wrapped it a little bit like a present and glued that on there. I'm going to just use some tacky glue. That looks pretty good. Talking with my mouth full again. Got the cap in my mouth. And I'll take this and just, I'm going to just kind of slide it up and down a little bit, wiggle it back and forth a little bit, just to make sure that I've got good contact. Wipe off any excess. I do love our tacky glues for stuff like this because they grab so fast. There we go. And so that's how that looks right this second. Now I'll have to decide what I think about the way that this looks here. Just not sure. We'll see. And now really I should put this under a book and let it seal up really nicely. But I'm just going to show you what it looks like. We'll put our signatures in and see how it all looks together. Excuse me. And some of our little hair bands have flowers on them. And so I'm going to just use one of the flowers. Here's our signatures. Open them up to the center and slide it on. There we go. Let's grab the white one. I'll go purple, white, pink, purple. And put the little flower on the outside. It's got a built-in decoration already. And then just put our last signatures in there. I did make sure that I made this so that I had lots of room, so that I can put in a lot of the different things that we've made during the series, like some of the dragonflies and paper clips and pockets and just, you know, all things like that. So I want to make sure that I'm not real tight right from the start. Then I don't have to worry about it. I'm going to adjust all of these. Pull them over. And the pages will pull over right with them. Now you can always glue these down if you'd like to, if you don't want them to move. Just glue them down on the outside. And then on the inside you can still take your papers in and out. The reason that I love to use bands for my binding, number one, laziness. Because it is the easiest way to put your pages in. But number two, I like it so that I can take the pages in and out if I want to. So there we go. That's what that looks like. Just make sure that our pages look good. And they do. There we go. So this is what, let's kind of move this box. Let's flip this over. This is what our book looks like with the pages inside. And like I said, see, we've got lots of room in there to put in bulky items. So this is the journal that we've made for week 26 of Build Your Stash and Craft. I do like the way that it turned out. Love the feather on the front. And then I will probably outline the feather and maybe even do some little doodles and that type of thing, or outline the different pieces of paper. But I think that that turned out really cute. And I hope that you enjoyed it. And I'm not a journal girl. But you know, I do find the only journal that I really have, if you would like to call it a journal, is my mixed media morsels. And I have filled one book and started another. And I love it because it has all of my demonstrations on all of the different techniques that Cat Hands taught us. And so I also have a few more that I have been working on. And but it's nice to have a book where you have all of the different things that you've tried in that book, which is what I'm going to do with this one, just to kind of give me a reminder of what I've done in the series, even though I have a list. And that way, if you're kind of stuck for an idea, you can go back to your book, and I call it like an inspiration book. You go back to your book and you look through it and go, oh yeah, I forgot about that, or I haven't done that in a long time. And you know, it just gives you ideas and inspiration to go further. So thank you very much for watching this, and I'm going to get together what we need for next week, and I will be right back. Okay, I'm back really quick to show you what we need for next week. Next week, we're going to need to pick up some magnetic strips. They have these at Walmart. It's an 18-pack of strips for 97 cents. I do like the flat strips because when you get them in the roll, they're really hard to get them to lay flat. So the flat ones to me are nicer, but you can get what you like. But we need to get these for 97 cents, and we need to have a piece. We need to have some of our white cardstock. And then if you have an old puzzle laying around, some little puzzle pieces will be fun to play with next week too, but you don't have to have them. We just need the magnetic strips for 97 cents. And with that then, let's look at our book. We're doing Magnet Inchies next week. That will be $1. We had $16 forward on our savings. We'll be saving $4. And that means that we now have $20 in our savings bank. So while we're at it, while you're at Walmart picking up your magnetic strips, go ahead and pick up a paper trimmer also. They have Fiskars paper trimmers at Walmart for $20. So we'll be able to get that also. So pick up your magnetic strips, take your savings, and get a paper trimmer for $20 at Walmart or wherever you decide that you want to get one. So, but that's what we have going on for next week. We've made it to something big again. We've got our jelly plate, now we've got a paper trimmer, and now we'll be saving for a heat gun. So thank you very much for watching. I hope that you enjoyed this week's tutorial, and I hope that you enjoy your inspiration journal. So to put all the different things that you're trying, whether it be with this series or any other thing that you're playing along with. So don't forget to make yourself some little nice line stamps so that you can put lines in your journals if you'd like to, and some masks also. So there we go. Thanks for watching. I really appreciate it, and I hope that you all have an outstanding day. Bye-bye.